Good evening. This is Warrior Empowerment Hour on WRGG 93.7. We are GA, and this is Mr. Don Brown, Mr. Too Easy, where I talk about my time before the military, during the military, and after the military. So, of course, let me get my reads right on in. So, here we go. So, hey guys, Grace United Church of Christ at 128 East Baltimore Street will have his first free Saturday community lunch at 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, November the 7th, which just passed, which was yesterday. So I heard it was really good turnout. They had a grab and go Thanksgiving meal bags, which was basically turkey, gravy, stuffing, mashed potatoes, yams, corn pie, cranberry sauce, and bottled water. And then of course today they had there was another place, Hamilton Heights God Missionary Church. They had retired Army Colonel Doug Marchiano out there speaking. That was at 6 p.m. Matter of fact, that's going on right now. So I'm sure that's a wonderful event. They're honoring the veterans, and they're located at 1699 Johnson Road in Chambersburg. So it's going on right now. So you can call for information, but if it's going on, they may not answer. But that number is 717-261-1000. So, they're honoring the veterans. So if there's any veterans in the area that would like to attend the event, it just started at 6 o'clock on the dot. But I'm sure they'll still let you guys come on in and participate no matter who you are. The doors are always open. So then, of course, yesterday they had the Kaufman Rutan Club do the slippery pot pie. Man. That was wonderful. Good turnout. So definitely that was great. So of course we still have, on our schedule, we have the Allison Atrium Museum, the virtual. So make sure you guys participate in that. You can visit them at www.greencastlemuseum.org/videos. So you can also call by appointment 717-597-9010, Tuesday to Friday, noon to 4, and Saturday, 11 to 1. Masks are required. For more information, for that, I just gave you the number. The address is 365 South Ridge Avenue, right there in Greencastle. Boom, boom, boom. So this is wonderful, guys. And Greencastle Atrium Chamber of Commerce 30th Annual Heritage Christmas, that's still going on. So make sure you guys, it's free parking in downtown, will begin November the 2nd and continue through the holiday season. The celebration of the 30th Annual Heritage Christmas, sponsored by Greencastle Atrium Chamber of Commerce downtown, around town open house, will be held Saturday, November 7th, which was yesterday. For more information, visit the website, greencastlechamber.org. Then there's other events coming up. We have an event on December 4th. That'll be the Heritage Christmas Square, Friday, December 4th, December 11th. For more details, visit greencastlechamber.org. And it's so wonderful, so fun, wonderful. So also, if you guys are looking to rent a RV storage, it's 14 by 50 indoor storage for your RV or for classic cars, because the winter is coming. Even though we have some great weather. It was great weather today. It was up in the 70s. I think it was like 70, 71 today. It was pretty nice today. So hey, you want to store your classic car, you want to store that RV, you know what you can do. This is right here in Marion, PA. You can contact 717-375-4900 and ask for James, and he will let you know how you can rent RV storage or for your classic cars. Because I know a lot of us around here have some nice cars. I've seen them in the car shows from Carlisle all the way down to the car shows in Martinsburg, West Virginia. There's some nice cars, and man, people travel a whole long distance, to have them cruise ins. They got the cruise in up in Chambersburg at the what is that, Green Village. They always have a cruise in up there. And I know I've seen some cars in Greencastle, and I sure enough saw some cars this weekend over in what's that, Waynesboro. And speaking of Waynesboro, let me tell you guys something. Man, I was with some buddies of mine, great buddies in Waynesboro. So we stopped at Chicago Charley's Gourmet Hot Dog Stand. Okay, that's located at 1185 Buchanan Trail. Okay, that's in Waynesboro. And we went there and got a hot dog. And let me tell you something. that hot dog was great. It was beyond great. It was awesome. I got a Pepsi, a bag of chips, and a hot dog. I think it was a special. It was like $5, and it was awesome. And they have like 10 different toppings, free toppings you can put on there. I got sauerkraut, cheese, and peppers. And let me tell you something, man. That gourmet dog, it was nice. It was a good size. It was wonderful, pleasant owners there. It was a nice lady there that helped us out. It was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. They have a table and an umbrella for outdoor seating. We sat there and enjoyed the weather on Saturday and enjoyed a good gourmet hot dog. So if you're in a mood for a good gourmet hot dog for a good price, go down to Chicago Charley's Gourmet Hot Dog Stand. That's at 11885 Buchanan Trail. It's right across from the antique market right there by Sunshine Lanes. You can't miss it. They don't have a marquee sign. It's just a little flag out there that says hot dogs. And there's a little white car that has the windows says Chicago Charley's on there. But let me tell you something. Friendly staff, wonderful warming. Everything was awesome. I believe it's cash only right now. But I did see a sign up there. I believe it's cash only. I paid cash, but I didn't even ask because it was only like $5 and I had $5 in my pocket. But just double check, double check. They have a Facebook page. Definitely double check. I know they've been at some of the motorcycle events at MS Harley Davidson, and I believe in Gettysburg also, because I remember seeing that car. So their stand was probably out there. I just didn't go to the stand, but I went there on Saturday, and let me tell you something. It was good. It was definitely good. Definitely, if you want a nice gourmet hot dog, it's all beef hot dog, and it was wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So definitely check them out. The bun was nice and soft. It was hot. It was fresh. It was awesome. So definitely look them up. Definitely, if you're around, they open up at 11 every day. They also do catering, I believe, because they're at events. So they have that stand they can move. They probably have a travel little stand they can move. But if you want to ask them any questions, 717-385-9651. But definitely check them out. And I'm going to get right into it. So guys, we just had the election, and right now there's some things going on. But hey, let the process work and see how it works out. So this segment, I'm going to talk about information is key. And it's just, for me, I've been in the military since 1994. I got out around 2012, did a little bit more than 16 years, but got out in 2012. And let me tell you something. I used to work at the NSA, and I know all too well what Hammer is, and I know all too well on what scorecard is. And sometimes information can be scary. So I'm going to give you guys some little fun facts. Okay, here's a fun fact for you. And you guys can Google this. Trust me, every fact I tell you can Google. So let me tell you something. The internet was invented and used in 1960. Okay? But it wasn't called the internet. It was called ARPANET. Okay? Which stands for Advanced Research Project Agency Network. Okay? It was solely used for the military. That's in 1960. Okay, so imagine you're at the internet in 1960. What was going on in the 60s? Just think about it, You had a lot of things going on, especially since this was only for military and Department of Defense. Okay, so you had what we had: Vietnam, we had Korean War, we had some stuff stateside. Peace, man. A whole bunch of stuff going on, and the internet was around in 1960, but it wasn't available to the public until 1993. Okay, that was 33 years. Then it's available to the public. Then the two people that invented the internet was Robert E. Kahn and Vint Cerf. Okay, those are the two gentlemen that invented the internet. Excuse me. That was just a dry throat cough. I forgot to stop. Well, I didn't have time to stop and get my tea from the AC&T gas station. I was running late, so. But other than that, I digress. But just imagine that. Okay, we had the internet from 1960. And it wasn't released to the public until 1993. And when it was released to the public, it wasn't like wide open internet. We still had the World Wide Web. You had the little dial up with AOL, made the little funny sound. You had to unplug your phone and plug this into your big desktop. They didn't have laptops then. So just imagine that. Okay, so now here we are. Let's fast forward to 2020. Okay, so of course, when cell phones were invented, so you got cell phones. So cell phones were invented. Let's see. Let me make sure I tell you guys the right information, because I did write it down, but for some reason I'm thinking it's not the right information. So let me just double check. So cell phones were invented. First mobile phone 1973. Okay, all right. So I put down 1974, but it's 73. Okay. Then of course you had your smartphones, of course, and then you had your apps, but it wasn't a whole lot of apps, because you had ringtones and stuff like that, but you didn't really have apps. Then we got smartphones, then we had apps. So now here we are with social media, and everything is out there, but everything in social media is not true facts. So imagine having all this intelligence and all this information, but you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know how to use it, because no one gave you instructions on how to use this information that we have at our fingertips. And when I say don't know how to use it, here's an example. Okay, so we have Google. Google's been out there for a while. So explain to me on why sometimes, because I've traveled all around. I travel all around Pennsylvania, all around the world, especially in the military. And people are asking simple questions they can put into Google. Okay, so someone says, hey, you know what a Papa John's is? No, but if you put it in Google, it'll tell you. So you mean to tell me you don't know how to use Google, but you have a smartphone? Or someone to say, I love this. Oh man, what's the number to this place? Well, since we don't have the one book, or those little phone books that's like 500 pages, no, that's like 100 pages just for your local town. We don't have those anymore. You can Google information. I try to tell people, information at your fingertips. You're just not using it. And just in my personal life, people will call me up that's not even in this state. They're not even in Greencastle, not in Waynesboro, not in Chambersburg. They're in a different state. And they'll call me up like, hey, Mr. Too Easy. Hey, how do I get in touch with how do I get in touch with my local vendor for, for aging, or, for seniors to do this, this, and this? And I'm like, dude, why don't you just Google it? Why would you call me and you can just Google it? So when you have information, don't want to use it, that's the sad thing. So, I worked at the NSA, and this is hilarious, because imagine working at the NSA. I joined the military when I was 17. So imagine, 17 years old, you're a private, So we had this, I think it was the first sergeant. No, he was a master sergeant. We called him Top. So his master sergeant, he was in his uniform. We all in uniform. We come in. He says, "Hey, I want you guys to read those newspapers that's there. I'm gonna see you guys in about 2 hours, and I want you to tell me what information you found out of that paper." So you're not thinking nothing of it. You got about 20 of us. We're sitting there and we're reading these papers, and we're just writing down notes. Writing it on a paper. Because you're writing the notes on the paper. Okay, so he comes in and he calls us in one by one. Asking what we learned. So your average person, talk about what's in the newspaper. The news, the current events, obituary, stuff like that. So the first time I did, I usually go to the back, because I wasn't in sports, so I would just say, what the obituaries about, people got married, children born, stuff like that. So then that went on for like 2 days. So on the third day, I'm looking around, and there's this older soldier. He has a newspaper, and he only has it in the crossword puzzle section. That's all he has it, okay? So he's sitting there, and he's doing it. And every now and again, I notice he'll ask a question, hey, what is the word for this? And, we tell him a word, he fill it in. So I said, what, let me start doing that. So when I started doing that, there were actually messages in the crossword puzzle, okay? And this is what people don't understand, okay? So just think about this. I'm working at the NSA, and I'm 17 years old. And my task every morning is to read the newspaper, and in 2 hours, I got to brief the master sergeant. So he was basically filtering out those who can use their, actually read and get information or find information. So I just started looking around like, what is other people doing? Because I'm sick and tired of doing this. This is stupid to me, because I really didn't understand. But of course, I was working in intelligence. So then, of course, when you learn stuff like that, that's why I tell you, information is key sometimes, but too much information is scary. So now in my field, I know, they do, certain areas, they pass information through crosswords, through little stuff like that. So of course, since I was only 17, 18, so what did I do? I started doing the same thing in my real life. So, my sister, she was in high school. I think she was in high school. So I used to do like little puzzles and put little hidden words and numbers in there. And she used to do them, okay? So I'm just mimicking what I see at work, okay? So then you fast forward, what was it, 2015 or maybe 2012 or 2010, when Sudoku first came out, okay? Because I was still in active duty when Sudoku first came out. So you do realize Sudoku was first used to pass codes, okay? So in my mind, I didn't do the research, but when I know what I used to do, I'm assuming that, like when they had those little things when people leave these iPhones around and people start using them, like, oh, look at this iPhone 100 or whatever, and just using it and da-da-da-da-da. So imagine someone accidentally left a Sudoku, not the whole book, but just a page, that they was doing something. And just a civilian probably found it like, what is this? And then, of course, they come out and say, oh, these are Sudoku books, this is a game and all this stuff. So they start putting information out that, so people to see how people would use it, how people would react, and that's the scary part. That's like when I was in Iraq, and we had this, I had to man this gate, and it was this sergeant major, command sergeant major. He came out, and I was an E4 at that time. I was a corporal at that time, so I was in charge of the gate at that point. And he said, let me tell you something, corporal. He says, no matter who comes to this building and come through your checkpoint, no one should be bringing a laptop or a tough book through here. He said, if they do, you call me. And I'm like, all right, Sergeant Major, no problem. And only people that came through there was colonels. These are full bird colonels that came through there. You had a few lieutenant colonels, and you had 2 generals that would come through. But the majority of them was colonels and lieutenant colonels. So one time, this colonel come through, and I see his laptop. I said, excuse me, sir. I said, you can't leave with this laptop. I was told that, I said, excuse me, sir, you can't leave with this laptop. I said, they told me if someone tried to leave with a laptop, I have to call them. So he was like, I'm a colonel. You just a corporal. I can do what I want to, okay? Stand at attention when you're talking to me, da-da-da-da. So I'm like, okay, sir, no problem. So I stood at attention. I said, sir, I cannot let you out this gate with this laptop, So he's like, no, I don't want to hear it. I was like, sir, I'm just telling you what I was told. I said, they told me. So he said, who is they? Who is they? Who the hell is they? Why you keep saying they? So I said, sir, I don't know who they is, but I can get them on the phone. So I go get on the phone, and I call the sergeant major. I said, Sergeant Major, this is Corporal Brown. This is the colonel here with a laptop. He's telling me to stand at attention, and he can take this laptop out. Before I hung up the phone, he was running out of this building. He came in there, and when I tell you, he told that colonel to take that laptop back, or else he'd be going back stateside and he won't have those wings no more. That colonel turned around and took that laptop back. So let me tell you something. Information is key. Okay? You had a command sergeant major that, I'm not going to say made, but influenced the colonel that he didn't have enough rank to take that laptop out of there. Okay? That is, information, hey, information is key. So, we have, people out here that you put information out there and they have no idea how to use it. They get scared. So, I know firsthand on how information is, on how pertinent information is, how scary too much information is. Can you imagine if they told you, because I was in a think tank for about a year and a half when I got back from my first two-year tour from Iraq. Okay, so they had us in a think tank. Before I tell you that, let me tell you this other story, because this is relevant to that story. So in 2001, prior to 9/11, okay, I was visiting a buddy of mine at the Pentagon, okay, and I was on the side where, the HOV lane, people come in and pick up from the HOV lane, because that's where I parked at, and then I took the little bus over to the regular side. So let me tell you what happened on this day. On this day, there was a 30-foot, like a water truck, basically, but it had fuel in the fuel truck. It actually flipped over at the light right there. And in 30 minutes, that situation was cleaned up. The driver was arrested, and no one knew about it. It didn't go on the news Because by the time I got in there, because they held up everything, they had it on lockdown. By the time I got into the Pentagon, I was asking my buddy what happened. He says, look, don't worry about what happened, but this is what you're going to do. And I was like, whoa. And I went home. I didn't see it on the news. I looked at all the news channels, didn't even see it on the news. And I'm like, what in the hell? But can you imagine? This was before September 11th. This was like in July. Okay? But can you imagine if that information was out there, how scared people would be? Okay? Because information is key. And too much information would cause hysteria. It really would. You know, it really, really would. I wouldn't want to know half the stuff that I know now. And I talk about it, when I'm at the VA and, when I'm with my wife, and it's scary information. So imagine being in a think tank. Now this is fast forward, this is 2003, 2004, 2005. Yeah, 2005. I'm in this think tank, excuse me. And the think tank is based on everyone that went overseas, that served 2 years overseas nonstop, to figure out how they would attack America again. Because remember, we had 9/11 in 2001. So we're all sitting in there, and we first started at the Pentagon, and then they gave us to this other little location, which was basically a daggone trailer that had a security lock key card on the door, which looked stupid. But imagine, those little trailers you see on the side of 81 that they be working out of because, they got the construction going and road work going. It was one of them trailers. And we all have top secret clearance, and we're using a key card to get in one of them little rickety trailers. But it had full internet, it had AC, it had heat, it had some technology stuff in there you would not think would be in there. It was laid out, it was nice. So we're in there, we did that 8 hours a day. So we got there in the morning, everyone had their coffee, everyone chit-chatting, and you had to write down, your job each day was to write down 10 things, 10 ideas. And then once you come with those ideas, you have to have a whole 20-minute explanation on why you chose this idea. So that means you have to do research. So you're doing research, and you're calling people, and you're calling around for books, you're calling around for all this information. We use Google, we use books, we use maps. It was awesome. We use the smart board, because right now, everyone can buy a smart board now. But imagine having a smart board. Your desk was a smart board, and when you was called on, it actually was on the screen in the front of you. So whatever you was writing and notes, you would see on there, because you would talk about this from your seat, and you're just you're writing it on there, and everyone's looking up while you're got your face down, you're writing, and everything you're writing on your desk is coming on that big board. And that was a nice smart board in 2005, but they got some nice smart boards now here in 2020. But just imagine that, and it was only 10 of us in that room, but it was multiple think groups. And the things that we've come up with, and I see some of them in fruition now, that kind of stuff you don't give out to the public, because it would be scary. It really would be. And I know one of the things I came up with, it really came to fruition, and I'm a little scared now, but it is what it is. But, they talked about viruses, they talked about contaminating the water. You can never contaminate the water. There's too many filtration systems to contaminate the water. That's just impossible. But they talked about backpacks. They talked about, vehicles that's parked at the HOV, hence why in most states that has large military bases, they took away the decals for it. Okay, so, our group was a part of that, because you got to do 100% ID check anyway, so you really don't need these decals saying that you're in the service. And then if you was anywhere from, a first sergeant, sergeant major, you had your rank next to it. And then if you was an officer, had your rank on there, boom. But then what if your spouse drove the vehicle? You understand what I'm saying? So these type of things, this information is out there, but it shouldn't be given to the open public. Because at the end of the day, everyone know if you don't know what HOV parking lot is, because I don't know we have any in Pennsylvania, but we do have like parking lots you can park at, and then people carpool to work. So it's something similar to that. But imagine that times 1,000, because these HOV parking lots they have in Virginia, you can park like 5,000 cars there, easily. So imagine someone tampering with 5,000 cars. And when you do the statistics, you say, okay, let's just say 1,000 cars. 1,000 cars in a parking lot. So the parking lot is big as Walmart. You can fit 1,000 cars at a Walmart. So at this parking facility that has no cameras, just lights, no cameras, no security, you just park your car there. You get on you stand at the HOV bus stop. Someone else in the vehicle pick you up. You can pick up to 2 passengers because HOV 3. So you can have 3 passengers. Get on the HOV, boom, and get to the Pentagon. Get to wherever you need to go in Virginia, and you ride this special lane that's 2 or 3 lanes. Boom, you get in front of traffic. You're rolling, 90 going north basically. So your car is unattended for at least 10 hours. Because if you have to be to work at 9, you're at that HV lot at 7. And if you get off at 5, you may not find a ride until 6. That means you still got to get back to the lot. So you back to the lot around 7, 8 o'clock. So your car is there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. basically, or 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Boom. So who's to say someone can't tamper with that car? Your average household, okay, think about this. Your average household is 3.2 people, okay? So you have parents and then you have children, okay? Boom. So most people that live in that area have garages or they don't really park on the street because they have a driveway, okay? But just imagine someone tampered with that vehicle and then one home goes away. That's 4 people that's gone away, but multiply that by 1,000. That's 4,000 people. So this type of information, it would be scary to somebody. It just would be. So imagine and thinking these things up, and when you look at, I've read a lot of Tom Clancy books. He was a CIA person, and these books, people just think, oh, it's just a movie, it's just a book, it's not real. This stuff is real. This stuff has happened or has talked about to be happened. And of course, he write a book, and then guess what? They turn it into a movie, and it kind of desensitizes you to what reality is. It really does. It desensitizes you. Just like, I forgot what movie it was, but it was a movie with Denzel Washington, and the lady was like the 9/11 movie, basically. So that book was written way before 9/11. But just think about the information that your average person that works in the government or in the military, especially if they work intelligence, may have, but they can't tell you. So imagine, and now think about these elected officials. These elected officials, your average elected official, don't have a background, a security clearance. They don't have security clearance. I remember working at Letterkenny, and this is when we had Congressman Schuster was our congressman, and he came through a building that had some targeting stuff that we was working on, and we had to put up these big blackout curtains, because he couldn't see what was going on, even though he's our congressman. He didn't have a security clearance, so no, he can't see that. We give a presentation and we just give him the what he can know, basically. Okay, Congressman, just to let you know where the defense dollars are going. Letterkenny is partnered with, let's say, Lockheed Martin or BAE or whatever companies out there, what defense contractors out there, and this is where the dollars are going. Look at this room, look at this, look at these pictures. He never got to see the real hardware, and this is a congressman. Okay, he never got to see the real hardware. He just saw pictures, and he saw a person speak, and that was about it. And we gave him a little packet with 6 pages of information, which he passed off to his assistant, stuff like that. But he never got to see the actual thing. So now let's move that to, let's say, a governor position or a presidential position. They don't have a security background, so they can only go by what people tell them. Okay. So if someone says, okay, yes, sir, it's this, and this, okay, they're only going to regurgitate what they hear. Hence why they have a teleprompter, hence why they always have a clipboard of notes or a tablet of notes. It's just the way it is. But if you never worked in that background, or not even that background, if you never worked in a position where you was one of the executives, but the lower employees that had more knowledge didn't give you all the information, and you just given whatever information you got, and it's just, sometimes it's just that way. I was director of public works for a city in Maryland, and our executive meeting, there's certain things I can't even tell my executive assistant in the executive meetings. I still told her, because at the end of the day, she needs to know what I'm working with, so she can actually do my schedule the correct way. So, but I let her know, hey, this things you can't say, these you can say, boom, boom, boom. But it's all on knowledge. Knowledge is key. If you give the information the correct way, people can use it the correct way. But if you just give it just loosely out there, and there's no facts behind it, there's no rhyme or reason, then people are going to use these devices at their own leisure, and at their own demise, whether it be positive or negative. You know, me personally, as a just a person, I wouldn't want to know that. You know, I'd still have flashbacks of some of the stuff I've talked about, you know, or seen when I went overseas. You know, I've been to countries, you know, single countries in Africa where they called us just to do security on a village because the militants are killing the people in the village, either for food or for little trinkets or for stuff they may have. America don't know what that's all about. They don't understand that, and they will never understand it. But you see it in the movie and they laugh at it. Oh, this is funny. Oh, yeah, because it's desensitizing. You know, I met a lady the other day that needed a ride to a store, and she was telling me, and she's from Africa. She's like 68 years old, and she was saying how her sister got her head bashed in with a daggone stick because she didn't pay what's equivalent to 60 American dollars. So you have to pay these rebels or these militants so they won't kill you? Really? So now her niece and nephew are just homeless. And it's like, and when I see America now, I'm thinking that could be us. And you know, she explains to me, you know, we use Google Translate, and she explains to me how the reason she came to the United States to get away from that, and she send money home so they won't have to go through that. But you know, this lady's working. She's 67, 68, 69 years old, working to protect a family in a different country. We don't know what that feels like. We don't know what that's all about. You know, and being in the United States, yeah, sometimes I can say it. Yeah, some people are spoiled. Not spoiled because you're rich, but spoiled because of the freedom that you have versus the freedom in other countries. And of course, one could say, well, we're not worrying about that. That's not us. But if that's not us, then why should we send our soldiers there? Because it's affecting our soldiers because they got to come home to this. They got to come home after that. You know, it's terrible. You know, I was in Iraq and we got called to a father gouged out his daughter's eyes with a screwdriver because she looked at an American soldier. But he didn't know that she looked at an American soldier until the 10-year-old son told him. Now you think about that. So what do a person do to a parent that did that to a child? So now we had to go and investigate. And of course we, you know, had to take the child, and she came on base, and you know, we took her to the medics, and you know, they, you know, bandaged her up as much as they can, but she has no eyes. These are the type of things that people don't understand. But yet in Vietnam, when the news media showed, you know, the children, you know, getting hit with this gas and their skin is melting off, the first thing they did was they bashed our soldiers, bashed our Marines, our airmen, our Army, our Navy men, and called them baby killers and stuff. But you don't know the whole story. So when we say these, I'm not going to use the word useless, but when we say these protests, people do these protests and picket and stuff, this has been going on for years. But if you know the whole story, what are you fighting for? So you're going to call an American soldier a baby killer, but you wasn't there to see they're trying to stop that. But you only saw just a little segment of it and thinking we did that intentionally. When most of these countries are doing it to themselves, to their own people. Can you imagine if the United States didn't do half the stuff they did to help out these other countries? Can you imagine that? I'm sure you can. But I can because I was there. I did 16 years. Out of 16 years, I spent 11 years overseas. 11 years overseas. And just because it wasn't labeled a combat zone, let me tell you something. If I'm carrying an M16 to protect this lady walking on a trail from a water hole with a bucket on her head to her little hut, that to me, that's a combat zone. Because people are throwing rocks at her. People are trying to, you know, take stuff from her, even rape her. This is real. But no, it's not happening in America. But why? Because America's free. And like one of my British buddies told me, he said, you know what? He said, I want you to think about this too easy. He said, your country is too free. And I laughed. I said, no, there's no country that's too free. How you can tell me that? And I've been to countries where the government blocks the internet. The government controls the media. So they only put out what they only tell the media to put out what they wanted to know. Are we like that in this country? No. You got all the internet you want, as long as you can afford to pay for it. You got that smartphone. You know, if you go over your minutes, you get charged extra $10, $20. You don't have an all-exclusive unlimited plan. But think about this. There's other countries that their media, their TV, everything they're doing in life is controlled by the government. When I was in the Middle East as a contractor, okay, we had these little Nokia phones or whatever, and I was like, oh, and I still had a BlackBerry this time. And I was like, oh man, yeah, I want the internet on my phone. So I had to get a special piece of paper to get internet and a SIM card just for my phone. Are you American? Yeah, I'm American. Yeah, I'm American. Okay. But if you wasn't American, guess what? You got that same phone with no internet. Even if you was Filipino, even if you was African, even if you was British, but if you was American, they could not stop you from getting the internet, from getting Wi-Fi. But other people, oh, they stopped it. And I was just a civilian contractor. I wasn't even in the military then. I was a civilian contractor. And this is in the Middle East, and they're controlling it like that. Like, whoa. It was so bad that where we lived at, we had security. Our security was guys from Nepal, from their military. So, and we're just there working on MRAPs. That's all we was doing. And we had security at where we lived at. And we're not even in the service. We're just civilian contractors. And this is in the Middle East. This wasn't in a place that was like Iraq, Afghanistan. This was in Kuwait. A safe zone, a safe space. So when I hear people talk about, you know, different things, oh, this is bad, let me tell you, I saw the worst. On the military side, on the government side, and on the civilian side. So when I get back here and I get medically retired from the military, I do not, it hurts my heart to see stuff like we see here, that's going on in America. It really does. You know, and I'm not making excuses for anything that may happen. But at the end of the day, guys, you know, the first thing that went viral in 1991, and everyone knows this, was the Rodney King beating that someone had a VHS video camera and did it with. So from 1991 to 2020, you can't tell me there's a statistic that tells me how many people per day is either beat or killed by the police per day. But you can tell me how many babies were aborted per day, down to the minute, down to the hour. You can tell me how many women were beat or raped, or men beat or raped per day, per minute, per hour. And I'm not making excuses for anything. I'm just saying, do your research. How serious is it? In any death, let me tell you something, I've seen death all across America, all across this world. And that's the last thing I want to see, is more death. I don't want to see it. I really don't. Why can't we be peaceful? Why can't we be loving? Why can't we be like when I grew up, paying it forward? And my grandmother used to tell me, everyone is a paycheck from poverty. And if you guys haven't learned this from the coronavirus, you don't have no income. How are you going to afford to pay that rent? When you expunged your whole savings account. Everyone is a paycheck from poverty, no matter who you are. It's just a known fact. You know, you can be making 6 figures, you can be making 5 figures, you can be making 3 figures. You're still a paycheck from poverty. If I got $1 million home and can't afford a $50,000 mortgage payment, I'm a paycheck from poverty. It's a true statement. It really is. It's not rocket science. You know, because your average millionaire or billionaire is not paying $1,100 a month for rent. They're not paying what I'm paying for rent. They damn sure ain't paying that. They may pay that for a daggone automobile for a lease, or to buy it because they driving Bentleys and Ferraris. But I pay $1,100 a rent. Okay, retired. So at any point, let's just say, okay, let's say they do a total lockdown, and they say, we're going to stop all payments from Social Security, all payments from the VA. So in my retirement, then I'm screwed. So how can I afford my $1,100 a month for rent if they stop that? Because it comes from somewhere. It really does. That's not a reoccurring. It's not my 9 to 5. So imagine if they pull money from Social Security, or they pull money from people's retirement, because remember, they're the government. And I read something that happened 2 months ago. Was it 2 or 3 months ago in Maryland, where everyone that was getting their unemployment, they was mailing out these little cards. They just stopped. They cut the cards off. So if you had money on the card, you couldn't even use the card. Now we're in Pennsylvania. We didn't have that type of issue. We still have issue with unemployment. People may have not received it yet or stuff like that. But they already received it on a credit card, and the government, the state of Maryland government, shut the credit card itself off. Even if you had money on there. I knew a person that had at least $5,000 on the card, and it was shut down. So the government gave you this card, and they shut it off, even when you had money on it. And that's a scary thing. So when I tell people they should be thankful for what they got and thankful for what they have, it's a true statement. Be thankful. Because information is key. If you don't know what the Constitution is, go to the Constitution, read it. If you don't know what a Supreme Court justice is supposed to do, why don't you Google what is the job of a Supreme Court justice? If you don't know what the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania is supposed to do, is legally bound to do, then you should Google it. We have 3 branches of government. We have the executive branch, we have the legislative branch, and we have the judicial branch. Every single branch is separate for a reason. Your executive branch cannot make a law, but your legislative branch can. Your judicial branch cannot make a law. They interpret the law and make sure it's legal, but they cannot create it. The legislators create laws. The executive branch enforces the laws. The judicial branch interprets the law. It's separate for a reason. And, people, at the end of the day, let's read. At the end of the day, read. You have all these smart devices. You have an app, and, I always say, my circle of friends, they have an app for that. You have an app for almost everything. You have an app for yoga, an app for where to find the cheapest gas in your area. You have an app to weather. You have a telephone app. You have a voice app. You have an app that reads your text messages while you're driving. So you can't tell me there's not an app to read the Constitution. I know there is, because I listen to it and I also read it because I like to highlight in paper. I'm still stuck on paper, so I like to fill a paper and write down and do notes. That's me personally. But I see my time is coming close to an end. But let me put a few more things out there, okay? If you in the neighborhood of Waynesboro and you on Buckingham Trail, let me tell you something. Chicago Charley's Gourmet Hot Dog Stand, them hot dogs are good. I wish I was in the area today because I was daggone. It was a perfect day. Me and my wife should have just went there, but we ended up going, on the trail and was just chilling, enjoying this nice weather, over at Cowan's Gap. So it was pretty cool. We went to the little where the dam is and stuff. There was a lot of people out there, a lot of people. And I was thinking, it won't be enough. It won't be a lot of people out there. Man, it was a lot of people walking out there, got their pets, got their family, enjoying the weather. And if you have a nice RV, and guess what? You say, you know what? I don't want to park the RV in the garage, on the side of my house today. Let me go and find an RV storage. Or you know what? Instead of parking my nice 1959 Chevy, you know what? Let me find a storage to put it in. So if you're looking for a storage unit for RVs, which is a 14 by 50 indoor unit, has power. Okay, indoor unit. It's in Marion, PA. I think it's more like Chambersburg, but it's in Marion, PA. Contact 717-375-4900. Okay, you have a old classic car you want to put in there. I have a 78 Malibu. I wish I could put it in there, but I can't because I like to start it up every now and again. I got that thing in my driveway. I just got to see it every day. I'm sorry, but if you got an RV, I know my neighbor got an RV. It's nice, huge one. He got a big old drape over it. Him and his wife always bungee corded down, got the tires covered, and they raise it off the ground a little bit. Hey, dude, guess what? There's an RV storage place right there in Marion. Guess what? Give them a call. A 14 by 50, that's pretty big, man. And I'm sure it's tall enough for an RV to go in there. So contact 717-375-4900. You want that RV storage, let them know Mr. Too Easy told you about it. Check out Chicago Charley's for a nice gourmet hot dog. Man, and for our veterans out there, let me tell you something. Happy Veterans Day. Happy day that you're here. Every day that you wake up is a blessing. And I know our anniversaries are coming around when you was either deployed, when a traumatic experience happened. But let me tell you guys something. Call that crisis hotline. It's there for a reason. Call a battle buddy. We're here for a reason. You know, if you're going to use social media, use it to your advantage. There's a whole lot of veteran to veteran programs out there. There's a whole lot of veteran to veteran Facebook pages, Instagram pages, websites. Use them. If you're not feeling well and you got someone in your mind, call up a battle buddy. We know what you're going through. Because me personally, I talked to a Vietnam veteran. He's a good guy. And trust me, it was from a different era. But guess what? The advice he gives me, and even when he don't give advice, when he just listens, that's all that matters. I just want to vent. And you know, after we finish venting, you know, we start laughing, we smoke a cigar, you know, and if it's after 5 o'clock, then we'll crack open a Yingling or something. But at the end of the day, I got someone to talk to, someone to vent to. Because I don't tell my wife every single thing because I don't want to give her that burden. You know, because me mentally, personally, if I keep telling my wife all these things that's about me that has to do with war, I think that she's going to keep compiling, and won't have an outlet. So what I do is I talk to someone that's been there before, that can relate. And I know for him, he's just going to be like, he's going to listen, and be like, all right, dude, whatever, boom. And then we're going to move on. He's not going to hold it in the back of his head and be like, man, this is totally messed up. Maybe I should try to fix this. No, I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to listen. That's the difference. Okay? So, of course, today I didn't play much music because I just ran my mouth. But, hey, you know what I always say, guys. Be mentally strong, physically strong, socially strong, and spiritually strong. America, please start reading. Please do research. Google is out there for a reason. Bling is out there for a reason. Bing is out there. The monster little thing, I don't know, little website. There's a whole lot of search engines out there. Use them. There's a whole lot of libraries out there. Use them. There's a whole lot of books out there. Audio books and paperback and hardback. Use them. Knowledge is key and knowledge is power. So until I see you again, this is Wiz Khalifa. See you again.